Welcome back. Once again, I'm your host, Carl Rising, and today we are going to do our third video in our series on antifungal herbs and supplements. This is the second video in a row done by request, and I hope this is enjoyed as the previous. Today we are going to talk about apple cider vinegar. In particular, raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar. It should say on the bottle that it contains the mother being the bacterial culture that produced the vinegar. Otherwise, you're buying a condiment. It's really not good for much more than that. A lot of the benefits have been cooked and filtered out, and I really wouldn't waste your time and money on it. I wouldn't place any bets on your health on it unless it is raw, unfiltered with the mother. This has many different uses, and has been used since the days of Hippocrates. He himself used it in numerous dilutions for numerous ailments, and so can you. There's a reason why it's been around for so long. Starting off with the internal uses, which are going to be the more common uses that people will use apple cider vinegar for. Not only is it a great antifungal agent, it is an antibiotic for a lot of bacteria that would, say, give you a sore throat. So you gargle a little bit of diluted apple cider vinegar, or it's very good for killing other bacteria that you don't want in high populations, such as like H. pylori. It helps keep H. pylori down. It helps keep down anything that doesn't like the strength that it brings your stomach acid to, or that is susceptible to bacteria that digest plant matter, it being a fermented vegetable product and full of bacteria that eat plant matter and make enzymes for plant matter, which we'll get into a whole bunch of goodies on that. So we already talked about strengthening stomach acid. Now, strengthening stomach acid is going to do something very noticeable for a lot of people suffering from indigestion issues. Whether it's just a little bit of indigestion, or it's acid reflux, or it's big brother GERD, or helping go a long way to prevent things from developing in the direction of like Barrett's esophageal cancer. Nobody wants that. It just doesn't sound fun. Next thing is that it lowers blood sugar, which helps us lose weight, but it also helps prevent us from feeding Candida and other fungus that are in other parts of the body, and as well as cutting down our sugar cravings here and there by helping us adapt to having lower blood sugar more often without the oxidative stress of heightened blood sugar damaging our blood vessels, making it hard for us to pass sugar out of our blood and causing oxidative stress on the blood vessels, otherwise known as diabetes. So this is a nice thing to do to help treat diabetes or help prevent diabetes, especially in the earlier stages when there's less damage and hopefully the stomach lining is still strong enough to handle the acidity of something like apple cider vinegar. Next thing here we're going to talk about is allergy fighting, whether it be mold allergies or whether it be seasonal allergies from pollen, even like poison ivy and such, which we'll get into in the external, but we'll talk about it a little bit in the internal. And the reason why it helps with these various allergies is because it's full of bacteria that are producing enzymes that help break down plant matter. And a lot of us dealing with Candida overgrowth won't have those bacteria that help keep Candida down in the first place. The antibiotics killed them, lack of fermented foods killed them, lack of proper zinc intake and bitter greens intake to help promote good stomach acid. All of these things promoted overgrowth and strengthening that stomach acid and bringing in those enzymes to help break that down is going to make a huge difference. Our enzymes are a finite resource, just like anything else in the body. An enzyme is a biologically active protein chain. It has a job. It's looking for the place to do that job. It needs molecules that will catalyze it doing something. Otherwise, they're just going to sit inert. And they'll also sit inert if they're not at the right pH. If your stomach acid is too weak, a lot of your enzymes, be they produced by bacteria or produced by your pancreas, won't function, at least not at full capacity, full efficiency. The next thing here is that apple cider vinegar is very useful for detoxifying the liver, kidneys, intestine, and bladder. It won't do the whole job, especially with all the processed foods that we have and the damage that a lot of people have sustained to their systems, but it will give you a huge leg up. It will detoxify the liver with the acetic acid that's in it, by helping break things down in the liver, helping break down cholesterol that's stuck in the liver that's holding fat-soluble toxins, be they from postmodern industrial environmental, which it's just we walk outside, we breathe pollution, or be it from pharmaceuticals, over-the-counter or prescription that we've been putting into our bodies. Those are made of petrochemicals. It's made from the waste product from refining crude oil into like usable oil and gasoline and all that. Those aren't really supposed to be interacting with your chemistry, and your body doesn't really know what else to do with them, and it will bog down your liver, and they'll get stuck in your body fat, and etc., etc. The kidneys as well with the acetic acid. The acetic acid will help melt down a lot of water-soluble mineral contaminants, things that will go towards becoming kidney stones. Nice to melt those down, and this will also assist in the removal of kidney stones. But I won't. Once again, I wouldn't lean on it entirely for that, unless you're just preventing them. And killing Candida and the transformation that your body can go through while doing that, even just the loss of a whole bunch of water weight full of oxalates produced by Candida can form with calcium into kidney stones. So be mindful of that. Take care of your kidneys if you're killing your Candida. It's not just an intestinal problem. Your body has to deal with all the things it produces. Also, there have been people who've had kidney stones, that when tested, it was found that they were infested with Candida, live Candida, when they passed it. So this can help kill Candida in the kidney. Or urinary tract infections and Candida overgrowth issues, very common, especially for women because they naturally have some Candida living in the vaginal area. So, they're that much closer to going over the edge on this and developing a problem if their system goes out of balance. Everything's about balance. Clear the intestines by not only strengthening that acid, but the bacteria and the enzymes they produce that are found in the apple cider vinegar will help break up stuff that's stuck in the intestines, especially a lot of starchy material, a lot of Candida biofilm, or a combination of the two. Help break that up, keep things moving. Which, a side note, there's actually a bacteria in raw unfiltered vinegar, apple cider vinegar, not to be confused with white vinegar. That'll actually feed Candida. There's a bacteria in it that is actually one of the bacterias that can be in danger, that their populations can be in danger with regular oil of oregano use. So it's really good to keep that flush. I can't remember the name. It's an alphabet soup kind of name. Starts with an S. It's not. I don't think it's a Saccharomyces. It might be a Saccharomyces species. It probably is a Saccharomyces species. And the other bacteria, by the way, is that oregano will deplete, is Lactobacillus plantarum. So drink your vinegar water and take a plantarum, and you're going to do that much better on your oregano. Side note, I'll bring that up again when we actually talk about oregano, so we're going to do a big oregano video eventually. Kind of have to. And it will cleanse the bladder of pretty much everything that you're cleansing from your kidneys. Everything from your kidneys goes down into the bladder. So if you're dealing with a liquid waste removal system with areas for things to catch, you just gotta rinse the whole thing out, and rinse it well with a good agent that dissolves mineral contaminants. And vinegar actually definitely helps with that. So it will aid in bringing back a better balance, not just by bringing the bacteria that are present in the vinegar into your intestinal tract, but by promoting a proper environment where the ones that we really want, more than overgrowths of Candida and such, the ones that we really want will survive better in that environment. It will boost metabolism and help you burn off your cholesterol. Before I started drinking vinegar, I was a lot heavier. I someday will have before and after pictures in a video somewhere, but I wasn't always this thin. I really wasn't. Not since I was a little kid before I developed issues, but managed to reclaim the thinness and even, the whole good muscle tone thing. I am the strongest 130-pound guy you'll ever meet at my height. Feels good. Well, just about the strongest. Hope to be stronger while staying at this weight, 'cause it's tough. Little bit of belly, very little belly left to go. So yeah, apple cider vinegar, all these different wonderful internal uses. Probably not even listing all of them. We could talk about vinegar for hours. All the different benefits, everything it's been used for over the years in different cultures, starting in the Mediterranean. Then there's the external uses, and these are really handy. These are super handy, like things you can do in a pinch. One of the first things here is going to be toenail fungus. That's a really exposed area. It's really easy to get at. Just paint it on there. I was dealing with a toenail a while ago that's really, really good now. Just a little line on it, as opposed to discoloration and a much thicker or like deeper fissure where that line is. Change your shoes often, like get new shoes often. If you're working in a bakery and hosing the floor down every night, you will develop toenail fungus, especially if you're eating stuff in there all the time while dealing with that moldy, yeasty environment. Don't buy stuff from grocery store bakeries. Just don't. Especially the big chains. Just don't. I was putting the vinegar on the toenail, letting it dry, while doing other things in the midst of getting ready in the beginning of my day and the end of my night, and then putting a drop of either like neem or tea tree or oregano oil on the toenail. I did all my toenails just to be certain, especially on that foot. But I found that I had really good results using the vinegar to alter the pH there and introduce enzymes to break up biofilm on units of fungus on the toenail. So, not to be too gross here, but this is a gross topic. This is all these videos are about gross topics. But you know what? That's reality. I don't want to hear any whining. I found that gave a certain amount of extra ability to break down that nail fungus and bring my nail back to good health. It just kind of made the fungus more vulnerable to the oil before I put it on. So I would give that a go if you're dealing with toenail fungus. Next thing is, because of the acetic acid content, it is very good for cleaning wounds. It can sting in a wound, though, so have it be a really weak dilution. But we've all used peroxide and iodine on cuts. Same difference. Just dilute it well. The more you dilute it, the more comfortable it's going to be. Just don't go and dilute it so much that you've lost the effectiveness of it. Poison ivy. I've put it straight on poison ivy before. While also drinking it and diluted, and I broke down the oils from the poison ivy easier, and didn't really end up having much. I just had a little bit. You can't see it on the camera here. I can barely see it on my arm after over a year, but I have a little dot right there where I got a little poison ivy out in the woods with the dog, and it cleared right up because I was drinking vinegar water all the time. Still do. It's great stuff. After a while, it just tastes like diluted apple juice to you. Excuse me. I don't know why, but I put wounds twice. I think we're just going to say wounds twice, because wounds. All sorts of wounds. Nothing too big and gashed open, but like minor things, scratches, little cuts. And it'll kill a lot of things that are in them. Personally use this one as well for bug/spider bites, whether it's a mosquito bite or a spider bite. You'll break down the venom. Put it on a bee sting, very good. Breaks down the venom from the bee sting. You'll speed your healing on this bug bite or sting if you put a little bit of vinegar on it. You can dilute it for comfort, but I personally just dabbed it on straight. And instead of wounds, I probably should have written like eczema and psoriasis, which isn't a wound in a way. It's an autoimmune lesion on the skin. You can put diluted vinegar on that too, and it'll help kill the fungus that are in there. And you can do the same on your scalp. For dandruff, dry, itchy scalp, it kills the fungus that causes that. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the nutrition that you can find in apple cider vinegar. First off, of course, is the acetic acid, which is kind of the star of the show. Just before the probiotics that are in it. This acetic acid is produced from the alcohol that was produced by the bacteria that digested the apples. So it goes past fermentation and into a deeper distillation process, and the bacteria eventually reprocesses the sugars in the alcohol, and the waste product is the acetic acid, which is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Now, the vitamins and minerals you'll find in apple cider vinegar in trace amounts are typically going to be like B1, B2, B6, biotin. That's why people use it for their hair and their nails. Folic acid, niacin, pantothenic acid, and vitamin C. So there's a lot of good metabolism support, some structural things here. This is a nice little addition to your multivitamin or your B complex or your multivitamin and your B complex. Because you can almost never have too many B vitamins. They're water soluble. Same with the vitamin C. It's water soluble, so you might as well keep your levels high on them. Especially, during the change of season, during the tail end of flu season, as everyone's dealing with like coronavirus scares and all that. Just keep your immune system strong. And then we have some minerals here. We got a trace amount of sodium, which, we need sodium. Our nervous system needs it to function. Salt water conducts better. Phosphorus, which, we need for binding fatty acids together to make cell membranes. That's very important. Potassium for our muscles. Calcium for our bones, and for buffering out the stomach acid, like adding to the minerals that are being extracted from the food to help buffer the stomach acid by the time it reaches the large intestine. Bit of iron, which is handy because Candida eats our iron. A lot of parasites eat our iron. Weak stomach acid will cause iron deficiency problems as well as other mineral deficiency problems, because if your acid's too weak to melt your minerals down small enough for you to actually get them into your bloodstream properly, you're just not going to get them there. And magnesium, because we use magnesium in the body for over 200 different things, and it's the #1 deficiency in America, so hey, why not? So that's a nice little addition to whatever you're doing in your regimen, just right there. Never mind the other benefits. Contraindications. I'm going to talk a lot about like dilution strength when it comes to contraindications, and I believe dilution actually has 2 L's. Dilution. There we are. There's the I talked about this in my ulcer video, but if you have an open ulcer, then strengthening your stomach acid with a glass of vinegar water might be a bit uncomfortable. Or if you have really strong stomach acid in the first place, which some people do have overly strong stomach acid, and they overproduce it, as opposed to us overproducing it because it's weak and not doing its job. And it's there, so there's still food present in the stomach stimulating the production, but nothing's going down easy. Those people would probably want to stay away from apple cider vinegar. So people with overly strong probably want to stay away from apple cider vinegar. You want to do the vinegar test, which is you start off with a very small dilution, like half a teaspoon or a teaspoon, in a tall glass of water, and you sip it slow on an empty stomach, and you see how that feels. Which, by the way, empty stomach, first thing in the morning, best time to take it for boosting your metabolism. Really good way to rinse and prep your stomach and get things moving, get things going. If you find that the vinegar is too strong in a dilution that would typically be used, which is 1 to 2 tablespoons. Teaspoons. 1 to 2 teaspoons. Then start with less. It might even be worth it once you've started getting your stomach lining kind of soothed. If you have an ulcer, or if you have ulcerative colitis, soothed with something like marshmallow or licorice root or peppermint. Soothe that irritation, start rebuilding the stomach lining, and start by having glasses of water before your meals that have just a few drops of vinegar. You slowly work your way up based on your comfort. There's no real guide to that, not that I've found personally. You have to do it based on you. And that's going to have a lot of variables based on your metabolism, how long you've been dealing with these problems without taking care of them, how your diet is, how it has been, all sorts of different things. But if you do have weak stomach acid, you do have Candida overgrowth, then I would start with a small dose and slowly strengthen it. It'll also make it a bit more palatable, but the sooner you can get up to stronger doses of it, the better. Never take it straight. Maybe a very, very, very occasionally take it straight if you can handle it for, say, killing bacteria in the throat, or painting a tiny bit of it onto your teeth for 30 seconds, and then get it off there. Because the acetic acid, especially when it's less diluted, will damage your teeth. It'll erode your enamel. I drink it pretty much all day long with lemon juice added to actually strengthen it a little bit. And cover the taste a little bit. And because of the minerals in my diet, and gargling after brushing my teeth with Himalayan salt water, my enamel is actually really good. Actually better than it used to be, because I worked on my digestion and reintroduced proper bacteria that support the health of these chompers. So yeah, apple cider vinegar, ancient remedy from the land of lots of wine, bread, and cheese, and pasta. And, there's a reason why garlic, oregano, and apple cider vinegar are three of the biggest anti-candida things that are used, and were huge in the ancient Mediterranean. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found it very informative. I tried my best to include every little anecdote about apple cider vinegar that I could. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. There's a little bit of a donation information down in the doobly-doo. And I keep an eye out for my next video. It's probably going to be a video on combating mold toxicity, or it's going to be a video on dealing with like everything around using and the benefits of oil of oregano as our next installment of antifungal herbs and supplements. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Keep working at it. Health is not out of reach.